Welcome back to the Mobility Project. Here's what we're going to talk about today. The shoulder. The shoulder is really problematic for a lot of people. In fact, I just got an email from an athlete who hurt his shoulder doing muscle-ups. And we're really surprised, I think, sometimes when the shoulder fails, when the shoulder is robust design, it's designed to handle lots and lots of repeated force, lots and lots of repeated strain. The problem is that we sort of look at the view of the shoulder as just the relationship of the arm to the shoulder blade, from the humerus to the kind of glenoid and to the scapula. So this is not the shoulder. That is one relationship of the shoulder. What we're really talking about is the entire arm, its relationship to the body. So when we have to manage this, it's just as critical to manage the kind of the soft tissue attachments, how the ribs impact how the shoulder's moving. In fact, we're really remiss if we don't think about the shoulder, even the relationship between the scapula and the thoracic spine in the back. And this is why we hammer so much on that. If we can't get the shoulder into a good position, all bets are off, rotator cuff is inhibited, and we see a lot of bad mechanics. And so many of these positions that we need to start in a good position and finish in a good position, otherwise we can't effectively generate force, and what happens in the middle is torn labrum, slap tear, etc., etc. So today's MWOD is about getting you to think critically about kind of the other pieces of the shoulder. And this is the shoulder. This is the shoulder. This is the shoulder. It's all the shoulder. It's the entire relationship of how this big, complex system moves, simply. And so again, stop talking about the rotator cuff. That's one tiny aspect of the shoulder. This is a revolution in the way we think about the shoulder. So here's what we're going to start with today. A really base ungluing of this large pec group in the front. And so much of what we talk about is having to get a lot of this unglued in this anterior compartment. I want you to externally rotate and turn around. We're just going to unglue and pull through these fascial trains. If you're doing a lot of floor pressing, if you're doing a lot of bench pressing, this is one of those positions that matters. And you can see that that's really almost matching what my press position looks like. So I turn the arm up in external rotation, I'm going to tack away, and as soon as I can feel that I can tie in the shoulder into the shoulder, another component, I'm going to go hunting for it. And it may be to the side and looking up. I can use my hand as a tack to get in there, but I'm just going to get some distraction, external rotation, and then turn away. Long, big hold. You're going to be feeling pulls through the bicep. Oh yeah, your bicep is part of your shoulder. No big deal. So hang out. Let's go contract, relax, pull. You can feel those kind of bands of tension. It takes 2 minutes for a therapeutic dose. That's homework number one. Homework number two, when we're looking at kind of some of these peri-shoulder issues, is that one of the things that we see is that when athletes are struggling to be in external rotation in the rack position, one of the pieces that makes that difficult is levator scapula. And the levator is a muscle that attaches right at the top kind of corner. It's one of the upper rotators of the scapula. But if that rotator is tight and short, it makes it really difficult for it to externally rotate that shoulder into a good rack position. So here's what we do. Kind of setting that bar or the band up high, I get into a rack jerk position, which would be our rack position, exaggerated. And in this position, what's happening is that the scapula is getting pulled back and down, and then that sets up that levator. I turn the head, and it really hammers this tight little corner right here. This is that kind of high posterior first rib that ends up being a block. Oh yeah, posterior first rib, part of the shoulder. It really stops a lot of mechanics. So hanging out here, this is actually trashing some of the, some of the tissues that limit that shoulder position. I hang out here, go ahead and contract. Hand is palm up, relax, tight, release, turn up. We've got to stop thinking about the shoulders, this one little tiny joint. It's the whole relationship. And when we're solving these mechanics, we need to figure out what's limiting or what are the big prime structures. If I hang out here just a second, you can see quickly that my front rack radically changes. Unloading my wrist, putting my shoulder into a better position, gives me movement options. Finally today, let's unglue some of this top border bit. So I'm going to go on the disco paintball. Your lacrosse ball will work just fine. I want you to find in that first rib area, deepen the trap, lift up, and then what we're going to try to do is get that tissue to move out of the way. And I'm going to explore all around. Remember, the genius part about this is that you know where you're tight. No one else does. And so out here, that rib doesn't seem to be restricting in this position. As soon as I'm in this corner, that's a tight little corner. Over here, that's really bad. You'll notice that I'm not bending the wrist or the arm. This is a break and mechanic fault that we see for that inter-rotation. Keep that arm straight, press up. Make sure you have enough time to make change. Even if you're just limiting the total number of ribs you hit, it's about quality and actually treating until you make change. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. That's what we're talking about today. We'll see you guys tomorrow.